They were once high-profile convicts officially erased from the government's records. Yet they might also be the very people you'd want standing beside you the most. From breaking out of prisons to proving their own innocence, they endured unimaginable trials and dangers. During a helicopter escape, they were fiercely hunted down. The pilot was forced to pull off a wild 360-degree spin just to dodge enemy fire. In a battle against tanks and drones dropped from the sky, they displayed unbelievable combat skills and courage. These heart-stopping action scenes are the kind you might never witness in your entire life. The movie even features multiple fighter jets being blown out of the sky and a massive cargo ship capsizing in spectacular fashion. It's obvious that the production team poured an enormous budget into bringing all of this to life. Now, let's dive into the explanation of this film. In 2001, somewhere in Mexico, two ruthless criminals tied our main character to a chair. They showed no mercy, beating him relentlessly, trying to force him to reveal crucial information. Yet no matter how brutally they tortured him, the hero remained unshakable, refusing to reveal even a single clue. As their patience ran out, the criminals decided to take things to a terrifying level. They planned to feed him to their dogs. But our hero was no ordinary man. He always kept a universal lockpick on him, capable of opening even the most complicated locks. In the split second before death, he broke free from the chains and stepped out of the shadows. Revealing his identity, he was Captain Hannibal. Elsewhere in the city, a huge man was speeding down the road in a badass Lamborghini. He deliberately provoked the police to escape their pursuit. After a thrilling chase, he managed to shake them off and arrive safely at his destination. This big guy was known as Baracus, famous for his massive build and no-nonsense attitude. He trusted no one's explanations and solved problems with his fists. Without hesitation, he knocked out several men with just a few punches and kicks, reclaiming another one of his luxury cars. Next, we meet the team's smooth-talking ladies man, named Face. During a mission with the captain, he accidentally got involved with the wife of a Mexican warlord. That forbidden relationship eventually put him in extreme danger. While Captain Hannibal was escaping from the enemy to rescue Face, he spotted a car from afar and stopped it. After speaking with the passengers, he learned that Baracus was in fact a discharged veteran. Using Face's GPS signal, Baracus hit the gas and sped toward the location. Meanwhile, the warlord was counting stacks of cash when he suddenly discovered a GPS tracker hidden among the bills. Captain Hannibal slammed his vehicle into the warlord's men, taking them down one by one and rescuing Face. The three then planned to travel to a specific location in Mexico, an insane asylum, where they had to carry out a rescue mission. Their goal was to save a soldier disguised as a mental patient, their pilot, Murdoch. As they prepared to escape by helicopter, the warlord's men suddenly appeared. The chopper wobbled dangerously right after takeoff and accidentally crashed into an air conditioning unit on the rooftop, flattening Baracus's car into a pile of scrap metal. Moments later, enemy helicopters fired volleys of rockets at them, but Murdoch, like a circus acrobat, spun the helicopter 360 degrees and dodged the attacks. Despite this, the warlord's men kept chasing them even after they entered U.S. airspace. At that moment, Colonel Hannibal received backup from an American Raptor fighter jet. This was the A-Team, the wildest special operations unit in the U.S. military. Upon returning to the American base, Hannibal and his team were summoned by a general for their outstanding service in Iraq. A CIA operative named Lynch hurried to meet Colonel Hannibal and delivered shocking news. The United States' only remaining mint capable of printing U.S. currency outside the country, located in Iran, had gone missing during the Iran-Iraq War. Rumors claimed Saddam had stolen it. A gang from the Gulf had seized the abandoned Iraqi national mint and were now printing billions of counterfeit U.S. dollars. The situation was critical. If they continued producing fake money, it would pose a massive threat to the economic security of the United States. Hannibal knew that only the A-Team had the skills and experience to complete this extremely difficult mission. So he immediately requested authorization from the general to take action. Although the general was initially hesitant, he ultimately approved the operation, impressed by Colonel Hannibal's determination. The A-Team members began their operation. To ensure safety, the enemy had loaded the printing plates and stacks of U.S. dollars into a tractor-trailer. Accompanied by escort vehicles, Adam's team carefully prepared a disguise, sneaking into the hotel as foreign reporters. They then made their way through underground tunnels to approach the designated convoy route. As the tractor-trailer passed by, Adam clung to its underside like a magnet and deployed a large handful of nails, puncturing the tires of all the escort vehicles. Immediately afterward, Baracus sped on his motorcycle, jumped onto the tractor trailer, and took down the guards with just 3 punches and 5 kicks. He threw the driver off and successfully took control of the cargo truck. As Baracus commandeered the tractor trailer, Colonel Henny Bal on the other side was busy engaging the pursuing enemy. Eliminating all remaining threats, Face, having crawled out from under the vehicle, joined forces with Colonel Hannibal to secure the container of valuable cargo and added several large airbags around it. The truck then drove straight into the water, buoyed safely by the airbags. At this critical moment, Murdoch piloted an armed helicopter to their rescue. He neutralized the remaining pursuers and airlifted the container to the nearest U.S. military base. As soon as the cargo was safely unloaded, the general rushed to greet it, intending to celebrate with the A-Team, but upon entering the base, he was met with a heartbreaking sight. His vehicle had exploded en route. And he had been killed. His body almost unrecognizable. Everyone present was shocked and grief-stricken. The general had been the only witness who could validate the legality and necessity of Adams' actions. With him gone, Adams' 4 friends were wrongly accused and brought before a court-martial. Facing severe charges, the truth seemed buried under layers of dust. Unnoticed, according to the Unified Military Trial Code, the court found all 8 team members guilty, sentencing them to solitary confinement in maximum security detention, stripping their ranks, and permanently expelling them from the military. 6 months later, Agent Comanche, who had originally assigned the mission to Colonel Henny Bal, sought him out. He had located Face, who was now associating closely with a wealthy gentleman from the Gulf, and pleaded with Henny Bal to help retrieve the valuable printing plates. Returning to his cell, Colonel Henny Bal discovered a hookah hidden inside a book by Ms. Manchel. After taking a few puffs, he felt dizzy and fainted. The guards, believing he was dead, brought him to the crematorium to prepare for burning. But just as the furnace was about to ignite, the colonel awoke, struggled, kicked away the flamethrower, and narrowly escaped death. Meanwhile, Face, wrapped in a bathrobe and towel, applying some lotion, surveyed the exercise and gaming equipment around him. It was hard to believe that this man was in prison. He discussed details with a warden and arranged for necessary supplies and equipment. At that moment, a female colonel entered, casually taking his underwear, classic behavior for the team's latest man. After seeing her off, Face continued organizing his cell, even requesting a swimming pool and a steam room. He then enjoyed sunbathing under UV lights. Feeling completely relaxed, suddenly, someone unplugged the power and quickly secured all the equipment. Finally, the person removed the packed gear from the prison. Face opened his eyes to find himself outside the prison. It was Colonel Henny Bal who had secretly helped him escape. At that moment, Baracus was in a prison transport vehicle, while Face's friends followed closely in a pickup truck. They signaled him cleverly, and Baracus immediately understood the hidden meaning in the license plate. He quickly ran toward the back door of the prison transport vehicle. Captain Henny Bal skillfully used a crosshook to latch onto the vehicle door. Successfully pulling it open, they cleverly rescued their imprisoned teammate. Recently, a string of prison breaks had occurred, causing high levels of concern and tension within the Department of Defense. Their attention was particularly focused on the last remaining team member, Murdoch, who was currently suspected of having a mental disorder and therefore detained in a psychiatric hospital. To manage the situation, Murdoch appeared highly cooperative, even pretending to be insane to mislead those around him. He handed out 3D glasses to everyone, creating a realistic movie experience. As the plot unfolded on the screen, the vehicle seemed to come ever closer, eventually breaking through the screen and crashing into the wall. The scene horrified everyone present. At that moment, Fi casually stepped in and extracted Murdoch from the hospital. The 4 of them skillfully overcame one obstacle after another, successfully escaping. During their flight, they commandeered a large transport plane and forced it to take off directly from the airport. As they ascended, the fighter jets lined up around them were obliterated, along with vehicles in their path. Yet they remained undeterred and continued their escape. The plane swept past the female agent's G-Wagon and soared into the sky. Soon, 2 supersonic drones rapidly approached, launching deadly missiles without hesitation. The crew immediately deployed countermeasures and skillfully dodged the onslaught. However, due to the plane's large size, it could not avoid disaster entirely. Its wing was damaged, and the aircraft was hit directly by a missile, resulting in its destruction. Unexpectedly, a tank emerged from the wreckage. Some surviving crew members parachuted to safety before the plane exploded. They made the bold decision to jump from extreme altitude, but their parachutes were pierced by drones mid-air. In a daring move, Fi extended his head and used the tank to combat the drones in mid-air. While they successfully repelled the enemy, Only one parachute remained, heightening their peril. Thinking quickly, they spotted a nearby lake and used the tank's recoil to launch themselves above the water. By firing continuously into the lake to slow their descent, they skillfully guided the tank and ultimately crashed safely into the water, avoiding more severe consequences. Meanwhile, the Department of Defense managed to recover part of the surveillance footage, revealing the mastermind behind Captain Henny Ball's prison break, Agent Comanche. He had previously deployed the A-Team on a mission at a U.S. military base in the Gulf. The female agent immediately contacted him, demanding he cease his current actions. Based on screenshots from the surveillance cameras, she also discovered that a mysterious man would later be involved in a printing plate transaction at the CJIS Bank in Frankfurt. She speculated that Henny Ball and his team would make their next move there and promptly acted accordingly. Sure enough, Captain Hannibal and his agents were planning the next operation. He specifically sent Phi to the train station to avoid unnecessary casualties and military interference. Phi's mission was clear. At the station, he escorted the female agent to safety and explained his intent not to participate. Revealing that the A-Team had been framed, he had come risking everything in hopes that the truth would finally emerge. Just as the transaction time arrived, several distinguished clients entered the CJIS Bank building in Frankfurt. Unaware of the man cleaning the glass opposite them, Phi secured the briefcase containing the printing plates with chains. As he prepared to leave, he realized the man cleaning the glass was Baracus. Baracus aimed at the transaction room and fired. At that moment, Captain Henny Ball slid down from above. The moment the glass shattered, the captain rushed in, threw smoke grenades, and deployed several stun grenades. After securing the Gulf gentleman, he quickly put a mask on him and tossed him out the window. A waiting helicopter safely extracted the man. Soon after, the A-Team reached safety. Removing the mask from the Gulf gentleman, they were astonished to discover that he was the general who had set them up. Phi was seething with anger. He wanted to take out the general immediately with his gun, but Captain Henny Ball calmly reasoned that this general was the only key witness who could prove their innocence. At that moment, the captain called Coman to inform him that they had successfully recovered the printing plates. Over the phone, Coman ordered the captain to surrender the plates and execute the general. However, the captain knew full well that if the general were killed, their chance to clear their names and expose the truth would vanish. At the same time, Coman was tracking the captain's exact location via phone. Completely unaware, the captain and his team were caught off guard 5 minutes later when a bomber appeared in the sky, and the area where the general was located exploded into fragments. Yet Captain Henny Ball began to apply his strategic mind. He realized that only by rescuing the general could they prove their innocence. A series of clever maneuvers began. The captain called the female agent from the Department of Defense, telling her that he and the general were still alive. Knowing that Coman would undoubtedly be eavesdropping, they arranged to meet her at a specific time. As expected, Coman took note of the information. The final transaction location was set at a dock, where Coman's squad lay in ambush, waiting for the captain to arrive. They pretended to receive a call from the female agent, claiming the transaction was temporarily cancelled. The A-Team members then faked splitting up to escape. The container was lowered, and Baracus simultaneously controlled 2 remote vehicles, driving them in opposite directions. Coman's henchmen charged forward, firing wildly. Both vehicles nearly flipped over at the same time. Baracus and the team then ignited several cars, causing chaos and a series of explosions. At that moment, Coman appeared, confidently claiming it was time for him to take control and end Hannibal's plan. Unbeknownst to him, F had cleverly created a breach under the ship, sabotaging Coman's plan and introducing a surprise twist. In the chaos of the sinking vessel, Baracus was ordered to depart quickly while Phi had to locate and support Henny Ball to recover the precious printing plates before the ship was fully submerged. Coman followed the sounds he had eavesdropped on and found the hostage trapped in the wreckage. Suddenly, Captain Hannibal lunged from behind and struggled with Coman, but he was quickly knocked down, and his gun was seized. Coman fired several shots, executing the hostage, and secured the printing plates. He staged the scene to frame Hannibal, believing he could sleep peacefully afterward, smugly boasting about his deeds. Shortly after, the female Department of Defense agent arrived with reinforcements. Coman confessed to his crimes, clearing the A-Team of all charges. In reality, the hostage was a disguised Murdoch, and the gun contained no real bullets. Only some ketchup to create tension. However, in the final moments of the film, A-Team members were still taken by the Department of Defense for the crime of prison escape. But what does that matter to the A-Team? A-Team 2010 isn't just a pure action film, it's a fiery declaration of loyalty. teamwork, and defiance against the system. The film successfully revived the spirit of the original series. Hannibal's charismatic leadership was irresistible. Baracus displayed immense strength with an obsession for vehicles. And Murdoch was a crazy but brilliant mind. The film sends a powerful message when facing injustice and betrayal from one's own organization. The A-Team rewrites the rules with wisdom and extraordinary combat skills. The action sequences, especially the flying tank and aerial battles, showcase creativity, daring, and massive production investment. But at its core, the story is about absolute loyalty. They may lose rank and be pursued, but they never lose faith in each other or their pursuit of justice in their own way. This is a top-tier entertainment piece, delivering unforgettable explosive moments. The value of a film lies in its reputation, while the value of a film review lies in its insight. Today's story ends here. Thank you for watching. What did you think of the film? Comment below.